Kia ora. So now we call Emma Norris and Simon Britton from the infamous, the amazing Waipapa, Papanui-Innes Community Board. Welcome.
I feel like we need a big entrance after that intro.
Thank you.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you for the opportunity to present our submission to you today. We'll take the submission as read and just highlight some main points. Our board appreciates the tough job you have in front of you with this annual plan, finding the right balance between minimising rates increases and investing in keeping the city running efficiently, sustainably and resiliently. In our role as an advocate for the Papanui-Innes Central community, we support keeping rates increases as low as possible. This means focusing on the infrastructure and services to deliver what residents, businesses and visitors need. The challenge comes in balancing and understanding that one person's nice to have can be another's must have. We've also had feedback suggesting that community members want current levels of service to remain unchanged.
Strong communities make for a strong city, and community development and funding is fundamental to making our communities the vibrant, safe and supportive spaces that our residents value. Strengthening communities and discretionary response funding and other board projects are important lifelines for the vital mahi of our dedicated community groups. Similarly, it is especially when significant weather events occur, as may increasingly be likely with the effects of climate change, that we see the importance of maintaining investment in the emergency management and community resilience.
This next slide shows what matters most from our board area, highlighting our community's priorities. And we'll just skip to the next one. A priority in our community board plan is having a connected transport network. We aim to put community safety at the forefront of all transport decisions and ask that you do the same. We note our support for local cycleways and the timely completion of MCR projects and their connectors. Our board reaffirms its previous support for the Wheels to Wings cycleway, understanding that a staged approach is required due to the withdrawal of government funding. We support the reinstatement of the second section of the Richmond Greenway as included in the draft annual plan, as this allows for better transport connections in the wider Richmond area and into the city.
Community and student voices have raised urgent safety concerns with the board in relation to the Northcote Road corridor. Responding to this and to the LTP funding cuts to corridor improvements, we've provided better off funding to investigate safety improvements. We appreciate those investigations are now underway. Early signals are that safety improvements will require future council funding to be implemented, and highlighting in particular, there might be some urgency to progress this. There's a designation on Northcote Road properties which lapses in August 2026. Secondly, we remain concerned there was a project 243, which was Greer's, Northcote and Sawyers Arms intersection safety improvement, no longer appearing in the long-term plan. And we've asked for a traffic efficiency survey of the block containing that intersection, the Langdons Road corridor, Northcote Road through to Main North Road. And this would be assisted by board supporting and reaffirming that request.
Another transport priority in our community board plan is the installation of a safe pedestrian crossing point on Springfield Road. So we would like to see that given consideration in this annual plan process. The wider St Albans area continues to deal with the effects of the Christchurch Northern Corridor, so the downstream effects management plan budget needs to be retained. And we would also like to see the implementation of a school speed zone outside St Albans School prioritised, alongside red light cameras at the neighbouring Westminster Street, Cranford Street and English Park traffic signals. This area continues to see increased volumes of traffic, which is putting the safety of school children at risk every day.
We support the allocation of funding for a scoping study. I see we've put trial on the slide. Sorry, that's a typo. The scoping study was the consultation question for a central city shuttle service, and we note that as a key priority in our community board plan.
Our board is looking forward to seeing the development of the surface flooding reduction program. You've heard us speak in the past about certain parts of our board area which are prone to surface flooding and heavy rains: Francis Ave, Edgware Village, Emmett Street, Orcady Street, Cambridge Terrace and Harris Crescent. We hope these areas will be given due consideration under the program, especially given the amount of intensification and resulting pressure on the drainage networks in our area.
With climate change, severe weather is expected to become more frequent. It's essential we invest in our capacity to respond to emergency events and build up our resilience in the faces of the challenges ahead. We're committed to supporting the Ōtautahi Christchurch Climate Resilience Strategy and in turn support the Climate Resilience Fund policy as an appropriate extension of that. We would suggest the name of the policy and some of the information wrapped around it perhaps could be clearer with respect to the focus of that funding.
Our board used some of our Better Off funding for a SIPTED report for McFarlane Park in Shirley, and it highlighted an urgent need to address the existing public toilets in the park. The toilets are in extremely poor condition, as well as being in an unsuitable, unsafe location. They are up for a renewal within a program in the LTP, but we request that it be shown as a separate line item to better secure the funding. The long-awaited community facility at Shirley Community Reserve is finally on track to happen, and we would like to reaffirm that it remains a top priority, as is retaining the funding for the Phillipstown Community Centre. The current Phillipstown hub is the heart of the community and needs Council's continued support.
We remain committed to exploring a youth facility in the Papanui or Redwood area as outlined in our board plan. The Council resolved in the 2021 to 31 long-term plan to specify that project, which was referred to as a skate facility at the time, as a separate line item. We asked that that be reinstated and also show the construction component of that budget in that same line item, and that will help lock in the budget for a fit-for-purpose facility in the future. We also note there's a youth audit underway in the Papanui area planned for this year. We wish to highlight support for the Ōtautahi Christchurch Urban Forest Plan, noting the importance of improving tree cover in green spaces, particularly as an offset to housing intensification. It also is to be noted that our council and community facilities serve an important role in creating and fostering a sense of community. Libraries are key places for people to engage with the council's work, as well as to access the services that libraries offer. These facilities are increasingly important as high-density housing continues to develop around key activity centres and suburbs.
The pending removal of 20 large established street trees in Shirley next week has heightened our community's awareness of the importance of trees and the need for their ongoing maintenance. We ask that staff are given sufficient operational budget to undertake long-term planning and street tree maintenance to avoid a situation such as this occurring again. Trees are just one example of something that is so entrenched in part of people's everyday lives, they don't realise its value and importance until it is threatened. There will no doubt be other operational things people don't mention in their submissions to you or to us when we're engaging with our community, as they are taken for granted but would be sorely missed if taken away. We also request that allowance is made for exceptional situations when they arise, such as the Dudley Street Starling nuisance, which we've spoken to you about before.
We support continued investment in Three Waters infrastructure. We emphasise that upgrading our water systems is essential to prevent unacceptable consequences for our community, both for our current residents and visitors and also for future generations. And we especially look forward to a robust stormwater projects being developed through the Surface Flooding Reduction Program, noting in particular the streets in our area that Emma has already named in this presentation. We note that roading and pavement condition continues to be a concern in parts of the wards. Renewal and replacement of our roading assets based on prioritisation. However, sometimes that's seems to be not a clear or consistent process. And we would ask that this matter be considered by Council to clarify the process of identifying roads and pavements that need work, and that it's clearly explained why damaged roads and pavements are not being addressed if they're on hold, and if that relates to resourcing, that be rectified.
That's all from us. Thank you.
Right, so we've got 1.5 minutes. So, Yanni, and then Tyler. That's probably all.
Oh, thank you. 2 quick questions. One is there anything that we can do as a council to support getting a more holistic approach to transport and land use planning, particularly in that Papanui area?
I guess the starting point is that efficiency study in that whole block.
Funding that.
Yeah.
So funding for that would help. Okay, cool. And the second question is, and I know it's only been a day's notice, but have we got any information on what's happening with the Ferry Road pedestrian crossing? And is there any...
Well, you asked that yesterday, Yanni, at Council.
Yeah, there is a memo coming. Very soon.
I guess what I'm really interested in, though, is do we have sufficient budget to do what's been considered, or do we need to consider additional budget? And I'm also interested if what feedback engagement the board's done around the Te Aratai cycle lane.
Okay, well, that's 2 questions. We'll park the Ferry Road one because that will probably come back in the memo. Te Aratai, have you got a comment on that, where that's at?
No, not
Okay,
sure.
thank you.
Sorry.
Tyler?
Got in. Tēnā korua. I'm just wanting to ask about the youth space and the youth audit. And it's really disheartening seeing the entrapment risk on that public toilet part. But the question is around the Papanui Youth Facility. Is there anything in mind that you're looking at, and how is the youth audit going?
Youth audit is in the planning stages, so that's still to happen. It ties into the support the board has provided to the local community organisations that are operating the space at Northlands Shopping Centre as well.
And talk yourself up, I want to hear it. So, yeah.
That was, an amazing decision of the board. In terms of youth facility, it's pretty open-ended at the moment. The biggest concern and constraint is we have a really intense set of circumstances there, a major activity centre, a key activity centre, public transport hub, high school, council library, complete lack of public and open space, etc., right in the heart of Papanui. But we're also got, I guess, in response to that, the question is what can the council do to provide spaces that are appropriate for our young people and for our community overall. At the moment, we understand that money still exists at a program level, but it's not visible to us. So that's why the request.
Okay, so that's the question, that you want visibility of that
Yes.
funding for the Papanui Youth Facility as a line item. Can we get a response around where the Te Aratai cycle rate is? And also, just really quickly, because we're out of time, but the Springfield Road pedestrian crossing, I have heard from Transport there could be money in the Safer Streets budget for that, so it probably doesn't need to be an annual plan. But if you could look up and see where the Springfield Road pedestrian crossing of some sort.
Yeah, some certainty around
Yeah,
that.
thank
Sounds
you.
like something that could be funded from a program.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So we just need to know, is there any work going on there? Is there a timeline for it? Because the board's been asking for that for years now. There's nowhere to cross. Alrighty, sorry, Erin, we're out of time. Thank you. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'd like to welcome